This week in PlayStation, we're talking about The Last of Us HBO Season 2, the passing of Lance Reddick, and our Tchia review. We'll have all this and more because this is PS I Love You XOXO. Usually, I'd start with the normal rigmarole, the thing we scripted out because we wanted to get the show going. But now I will say in your face, Ryan Povala Higgins. Watching live on patreon.com/KindaFunny right now, there was a chat set off. What color would Greg's shirt be? Black? Somebody says green, which I would never wear. Could be blue, sure. Nobody guessed the KindaFunny shirt. The KindaFunny, what do you got, collared shirt? I guess.
Button-up collared shirt.
KindaFunny.com/store. No
Look
big
dapper.
deal. Thank you very much. I feel dapper. Welcome to the show, everybody. That's Blessing. That's Janet. I'm Greg. And you can get this show on patreon.com/KindaFunny, exactly where the wrong individual, Ryan Povala Higgins, is watching. There you can watch us record the show live, get it ad-free, and get dozens of monthly episodes of exclusive content. If you have no bucks to toss our way, support us in the Epic Games Store for free in Fortnite, Rocket League, or Fall Guys with the creator code KindaFunny. You can get PS I Love You XOXO for free with ads and without any of the cool stuff I talked about on youtube.com/KindaFunnyGames and podcast services around the globe each and every Friday morning. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Tripod Plus, Delaney Twining. Today we're brought to you by Honey, but let's start with a PSN message from you. Janet, you're wearing your chia flower. I'm jealous. I should have grabbed mine off the desk. Damn it, I didn't think about it. Oh, you're muted. Well, we don't hear you, Janet.
Mistakes made.
There it is. We didn't hear you. Say it again.
Oh, I said, yeah, I should have reminded you because I remember seeing on, I think, Instagram, you doing like an unboxing or something.
Now, I don't mean to, correct you, of course. Unless something's happened and it's about to get very awkward, you're wearing it on the wrong ear, as we learned in
I
Tchia.
looked it up on Google Images, and I thought it is the right side. Is it not?
Right side's when you're not taken. Left side is when you're spoken for in a relationship. So unless you have something to tell me about. Oh, wait, hold on, though. You flip your camera, don't you?
Yeah. I think so.
Well, that would make more sense then, because it looks like it's on your right ear, but it's on your left ear. For I see. Okay, Janet,
well,
I
actually,
stand
it is
down.
it is on my right ear.
Well, then
but
you're just wrong. Take it
I'm
off.
being her, and when the game, like I'm being her from the game, and for her it's on the right.
You're cosplaying.
Yes.
I can't wait to talk about Tchia with you, Janet.
That's why it's there.
I can't wait to talk about Tchia because there's a lot to talk about that, but that's not where we're going to. We'll start with the PSN message from you. Remember, you can write in to be part of PS I Love You XOXO for free at KindaFunny.com/PSILY. Housekeeping for you, of course, before we can jump into this. Ryan Povala Higgins knows it because he's sitting there in all his wrongness, but everybody else needs to know. We are recording this because of a crazy GDC/PAX East schedule on Tuesday. This is still going live on Friday as normal PS I Love You XOXO would. So if you're on Patreon, you're going to get days and days early. But I want to make sure people understand that if in the next few days, Jim Ryan's like, you know what? We're done. We're hanging it all up. That's why this episode wouldn't mention that.
You're in the lead.
We have a great episode without it, but I wanted to make
Don't
sure.
quit while you're ahead.
Aiden from Edmonton writes in and says, hey, PS I Love You crew. As we unfortunately heard on Friday, Lance Reddick has passed away very suddenly. A moment of silence for Lance. As Lance played Silence, one of the most important characters in the Horizon series, my question for you is, what do you think will happen to the character moving forward? Will Silence be recast, or do you feel they may write this character out of the series? Will we see anything to do with Burning Shores DLC, given we are a month out from this point, or will we not know Silence fate until the next full game? Of course, before we get into any of the stuff that doesn't matter, talking about video games, yes, obviously, it's incredibly sad that Lance Reddick passed away at 60 years old, far too young, Friday in Los Angeles of natural causes. And of course, our thoughts go out to everyone affected by this, his family, but of course, the people who enjoyed his work, whether it be in something like John Wick, whether it be the Destiny community that continues to grieve and go and have so many amazing memorials to him inside of Destiny, or the PlayStation community with Horizon. I know, obviously, Silence is such a big character from Horizon 1 into Horizon Forbidden West, and then, what goes on from there. Blessing, if you were a betting man, what do you think will happen with Silence?
Yeah, I don't know. First of all, rest in peace, Lance Reddick. That was one that hit me like a wave when I saw it on my phone. I was sitting in the office in like the kitchen area, and I was like an hour late to the news because me and Roger were getting out of a meeting, and I look at my phone, and legitimately, like like fell back a little bit. Like I was like,
Yeah.
oh shit, I recoiled because I was like, oh my god, I can't believe this is news right now. And yeah, it's very shocking, very crazy. But then, yeah, in terms of what you do with Silence, I really don't know. I think there are multiple options, right? Like you can have the character, you can either write off the character, right, in the next game. I think it being a video game gives the opportunity to just like have a different voice actor come in and like, finish that story. Because I imagine that with Horizon, whatever the next game is, I've always had the assumption that they're doing a trilogy situation.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a conversation we've had or like thought about.
We
But
talked a lot about that.
Yeah, I've always felt like,
Especially how the second one ends.
yeah, when the second one ends, I'm like, this next game feels like it probably should wrap up the story to some extent. And so I think with you being this far into the story and this far into this arc for the character, I think the only natural way to take it would be to still have that character live out the natural storyline that you've concocted for this character, right? And I think maybe you have a different voice actor come in and finish that.
Wow,
I don't know what you do to likeness, right? I think likeness might be a weird thing to figure out. You could change the likeness. We've seen that before. I don't think that would be too much of a shock given the circumstances, especially because you're dealing with an audience that knows, an audience that understands the situation. So if you want to change the likeness to whoever the next voice actor is for that thing, then I get it. But also, yeah, I think it's that thing where this is such a different, and I think a newer thing for video games, because video games are more of a younger thing than something like film, where is it weird to have it be a different voice actor but then the same likeness because you are keeping the same character? I guess that's where things get a little bit iffy for me. But I would think that maybe the right way to go, or a fine way to go, would be to just have somebody else come in and finish that role.
Jan, I saw you nodding a lot while Blessing was talking. What's your take?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. I suspect that even if the third game isn't the end, I could see it being the end of a lot of what we know as Horizon in terms of characters, goals. So I feel like naturally, if there is a Horizon, even if there is a Horizon 4, I could see a lot of these people not really playing a role in general, like of the whole cast, because I do feel like 3 will feel like a form of an end, at least to part of the conflicts that have arisen throughout 1 and 2. I do think the probably most likely thing, if I had to guess, is that they're just going to recast the voice actor, but maintain likeness. I do think there's also another wrench in this of how the contracts work and the legality of it all. I'm not sure if it's kind of already agreed upon for his role, and then what happens in this case. Do they have that already planned out via the paperwork? Is that something that then goes through his estate? And then, what do the people in his life that are in control of those type of decisions, those would that play a role in like what they do anyway? So it might be, there's 2 things that are kind of factoring in what the team and, the people involved in the estate want to have happen and what's like possible to have happen or what makes sense logistically. As far as Burning Shores, I could see him already being in there. I feel like Burning Shores is something that is probably mostly done. I think especially for those acting aspects, I imagine what they're working on in Burning Shores at this point, with it being, I think, what is it, like a month away? Come out in April or May. I forget the date offhand if one of y'all could grab that as a reminder. But I imagine a lot of that work is kind of already solidified. So I think if he was in there, he was already in there. And if he wasn't in there, that was unrelated to this kind of thing. April 19th.
So for my answer to the question, right, I think it's going to go this way. In Burning Shores is done and locked. I think Silent is or isn't in that. I would imagine he has something in there, right? Him and Aloy are on the same page at the end. Spoilers, sorry, for Horizon Forbidden West. We're going to go into very top level spoilers that clearly Silence is still a character in there. He's aligned with Aloy's in what's coming and what they have to do, right? I think Burning Shores will see if whatever they were going to do with that character be the same. I think you'll get a dedication to him, whether it be at the very, very front now in the opening credits or at the very, very end of it in the closing credits. But for the trilogy going forward, I do not think they will recast the role. I don't think they will recast it, and I don't think they'll do a different VO for it. I think, honestly, what will happen is one of 2 things, and actually probably one of the same. I don't know Lance Reddick, and I don't know his family, so I don't want to talk out of turn here. What I have seen, of course, is the fact that Lance Reddick, and I knew this from being a casual observer, just a fan like everybody else, did love video games, did play a lot of Destiny. Since then, his family has talked about how much he loved, like, thank you, Destiny community, for reaching out and showing love. He loved you guys as much as you loved him. I think with that said, Guerrilla will look at Horizon and be like, listen, he was Silence. That's the end all be all of it. And so it'll either be that he, again, top level spoilers for everything that's going on in Horizon Forbidden West, right? But we know that the Nemesis is coming, that they have a giant thing to come together and fight. I could see Silence being the first casualty of that, using VO you've either cut before, had in the can, et cetera, and say, all right, cool, we're going to use that to do this. Or again, in a very similar way, I was going to say making light of it, but it isn't making light of it. If you know that I cite Don Rickles, the comedian, as a joke a lot because I like Don Rickles a lot. But when Don Rickles passed away, they still used him in Toy Story because his family said, please don't write him out. Please don't recast him. He loved this so much. And they cobbled together voiceover stuff to make him make sense that way. I could see them doing that with the third installment of Horizon as well, right? Where they cobble enough together to get him as a part of the story and then have Nemesis attack Silence and take him out or whatever the hell it is, or have enough VO to put him off on his own. I got to go and go do this thing over there. I'm going to go fight this kind of thing. I think that's how they would do it.
Yeah.
But I don't think you recast him.
I think it's just such a tough thing to balance, right? Because I think the question is, what is the most respectful way to go about it, right? And I look back at Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, right, and how they approached it, right? Where it is, hey, Chadwick Boseman is Black Panther, like he is T'Challa, right? We can't make another movie with somebody else playing that same role because it won't be the same. There is something integral to that actor that is connected to that character that, we got to find it. We have to pass on the mantle of Black Panther, right? But it's hard to pass on the mantle of T'Challa in a way that makes sense for us, right? In a way that's honoring that character. So the way that they honor that character is to go, hey, let's start off, and spoilers for the beginning of Wakanda Forever, right? Let's start off, let's make it about him, let's grieve, and then let's move forward and make this a story that is centered around grieving in Horizon, right? I think it's a weird scenario since Silence is an important character, right? But is the story of Horizon isn't necessarily centered around that.
He's
character.
not T'Challa to Horizon as T'Challa was to Black Panther.
Exactly, right? And I wonder if the conversation of if you do write T'Challa or Silence out of the story, how do you do that in a way that is respectful? And I don't know if having the whatchamacallit, the monster that's coming to eat the earth. I forget what it's called. But if you have Nemesis come through. I was gonna say the ball of information, which I think technically is what it is, but if you have
Parallax
Nemesis,
from the Green Lantern movie.
Exactly. Yeah. If you have Nemesis come through and have Silence be a casualty of that, is that a thing that feels respectful and feels honoring of the character? I don't know. I don't have the answers to those questions.
I think it would be
more
one of those where it's
character?
Again, you would need the buy-in, and obviously, no matter what happens, it would be at the family's discretion. But I think if they were down of he loved being Silence, he loved being in video games, put him in there. I think Gorilla and that family has to make that statement, and Gorilla has to drive that point home in the run-up to it, because so many of us would feel that way. And then to your point that I think the mainstream Horizon players who know that Lance Reddick passed but aren't looking at IGN for articles, back to what you said earlier, people get that, unfortunately, people pass away from movies, and then you still use their stuff, or this is their final performance, da-da-da. I think you could do it respectfully.
Yeah.
I think, too, so much of the question mark is what kind of story did they want to tell, and how might this impact that story? That's such an unknown because we don't know what their angle was, for all, especially with the way they ended, too. And the way Silence character is just generally, again, light spoilers for the franchise structure. He's such a, there and then not there.
Exactly.
He's a force and a presence throughout the games, obviously, and is such an iconic character in the way that he propels conflict and resolution all in one. He's so, messy,
conniving.
but also behind the scenes pulling all the strings kind of thing in so many ways. But that being said, that also means that his screen time in general does look a little bit differently than what you'd expect from the other main cast of characters that you see in, Aloy's army, as Blessing coined it as. So I'm just not sure also what they already had in mind and how this might impact that, or what ways they'd like to impact it or incorporate it. So it'll be interesting to see how this all shakes out. And also, hopefully, to the degree that they can, I'd be curious about how this did have an impact on the story they end up telling, or where they were going to do already, just from a creative standpoint.
Yeah, that's the tough thing is I think so much of it depends on what their plan already was. Because I could see Silence being in the next game being a lot more present, given where we finished the second game off of. And I think one of the things that makes it very difficult is the fact that Lance Reddick is so good. Lance Reddick, in every role he plays, really he has that that portrayal of, oh man, only Lance Reddick can play this character. This is a character that I associate with his personality, because his personality, his delivery, and all of his roles was so distinct. But yeah, as Silence, it's hard for me to imagine a different actor coming in and playing Silence because Lance Reddick is so that character. But at the same time, that character is so integral to the story and so good that it would hurt to see that character go away to some in some sense. So like I really like honestly to this question, I really don't think there is a right answer. I think it is one of those things where yeah, like this happens and it fucking sucks. How can you respond to it in a way that is going to be most honoring? And like I would love to see something that is all right, cool. Like if we do write this character, if we do write Silence out of the story, how can we turn that into a hey, we love Lance Reddick moment? How do we turn that into a hey, like this person without this person, this story would not be what it is, right? This game would not be what it is. How do we treat Silence, who is like kind of a weird villain, anti-hero kind of character? How do we treat that character in that way? I think maybe that would be the way to go about it. But yeah, I think there's multiple options, and I don't know how to balance the right one.
Yeah, it's a shitty situation for Gorilla to be in. Obviously, the shittiest of the situations is the passing of Lance. But yeah, how you go in it, and I think it's one of those that'll be interesting because clearly they know the story they wanted to tell. Now they know, the story they have to tell, and how do you figure that out? We'll have to wait and see, sadly. But
I do like the Burning Shores inclusion kind of suggestion / hope that you had, Greg, though. Like I'm
for sure
looking for that. And I think it'd be really cool to just like toss into like some type of memorial area for Lance, like within the game. And you kind of see that in like, nods within, I'm doing the Miles Morales Platinum now, and like, oh, you go to like this statue downtown by like the pizza shop. Like I'd like to see a little something like that. Obviously in the next game, having a similar thing as well, I think would be a nice moment, because
I feel like that's more
not everyone's playing Burning Shores, right? But
that's also the thing of that's more reasonable, I think, where I think there's a lot. I wouldn't be surprised knowing Gorilla and how much Lance meant to them if they were trying to crank on it, but Burning Shores has to be approaching gold right now, so it's hard even to have a modeler drop something in out of the blue that is just reference to that thing. You have to wait and see what that would be, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see how they put that together. Before we go any further, ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you, of course, you could be watching us record this show live right now at patreon.com/kindafunny. Over there, of course, you could get dozens of exclusive episodes. You could get exclusive merch. You could have a great time, and you could support this show, your PlayStation show. P.S. I love you, XOXO. But guess what, Jack? You're not supporting us. You're watching on YouTube. You're listening on a podcast service. So here's a word from our sponsor.
Shout out to Honey for sponsoring this episode. Honey is the easy way to save when shopping on your iPhone or computer. And thanks to Honey, manually searching for coupon codes is a thing of the past. And we all know there's nothing better than the feeling of saving money. Honey is the free shopping tool that scours the internet for promo codes and applies the best one it finds to your cart. When you check out, the Honey button appears, and all you have to do is click Apply Coupons. You'll wait a few seconds. You see the fun little dancing guy. Honey searches for coupons, and it finds you the best ones. And then you just watch the prices drop. We here at KindaFunny have been using Honey for years, and it's helped us save thousands on tech, costumes, food, you name it. Honestly, I just love how easy it is to just set and forget and save. That's the best part. Honey doesn't just work on desktops, it works on your phone too. You just activate it on Safari on your phone, you save on the go. If you don't already have Honey, you could be straight up missing out. You can get PayPal Honey for free at joinhoney.com/kindafunny. That's joinhoney.com/kindafunny.
Janet, Blessing, it's time for topic of the show. What are y'all giggles about? What are y'all giggles about?
Somebody in chat said Greg looks like he should be at a cookout handing out Bibles.
They're not wrong.
This is a shirt we sell. Your paycheck depends on this shirt.
I need to get one of those shirts. I do like
not
it.
even,
told
it's
you
not
they're
the
long.
shirt, because if
Is the shirt combined with the glasses?
It's dad bod. It's dad bod.
Combined with the hair, combined with the personality.
The personality.
the
right?
undershirt peeking out, like it's just everything
You
about
got me over
it.
here like flipping the burgers. Jenny, you want cheese on this burger?
Dude, you're nailing it right now.
Oh. Well, I'm a dad and I grill a lot.
Yeah. Quote me a Bible verse, Greg.
Quote you a Bible verse?
Yeah.
And behold, he opened the seventh seal. And the sky became his black. This is a revelation.
Revelations?
This is the end of the world.
Why do you only have Revelations memorized?
There's an easy answer for that,
He's a
ladies
real
and gentlemen.
gamer,
It's the darkest book.
Yeah, well, what was your answer, Janet?
Because he's a real gamer.
What was your answer, Barrett?
I have no answer.
It's the only Bible verse quoted in Ghostbusters. Thank you, Jordan
Wow.
Vickers.
Ah.
Topic of
Wow.
the show, ladies and gentlemen. Tchia is upon us as we record this. It is release day, March 21st. You can be playing on PlayStation Plus. It is one of those launches alongside of the service. Of course, it was developed by Janet. Do you know how to say this developer's name?
Awaseb. Awa like water in Spanish. Awaseb.
Oh, Awesome. Okay, great. The official description, of course, goes a tropical open world adventure. Climb, glide, swim, and sail your boat around a beautiful archipelago in this physics driven sandbox. Use Tchia's soul jumping ability to take control of any animal or object and jam on your fully playable ukulele. A game inspired by New Caledonia. If you didn't know, New Caledonia is a French territory comprising dozens of islands in the South Pacific. Janet, you have beaten Tchia.
Yeah.
You have reviewed it for Pen to Pixels. I'm screwed it up. Sorry. What's your kind of funny review scale out of 5 on this one?
My kind of funny review scale out of 5 is going to be a 3 out of 5, which is on our scale okay. I gave it the same rating on my scale, which is good on my scale. So
Okay.
that's a little confusing. But
No, it's fine. But I always say there's 2 okays where they're like, it's okay. You might enjoy this, or it's okay. Blah blah blah.
it's the first one.
Okay, it's a high. It's a high.
Okay.
Okay, high. Okay.
Though I feel like now we're getting really into the weeds of like the sub.
This is why I love our scale being very general.
But again, just because I don't think it's quite great, it doesn't quite hit that high. Though I did consider it for a long time because I really love this game. But ultimately, I think my number one beef with it is I think they were so focused on making a fun, frictionless experience that it ends up being it lacks a bit of intrigue, especially the more you play it and as you get towards the end. It wasn't until
Okay.
like 2/3 through that I kind of was like, man, I don't think it's quite great. I don't think it quite hits there because everything I do is so repetitive, so simple to do, and not because it's like too easy or something. I'm not looking for this to be like a difficult game by any means. I'm not looking for that, but I'm looking for intrigue, things that make me think a little bit. And I feel like it's very much a game of going through the motions, and the motions are fun and charming. It is a cozy collectathon of a game. If you like that setup, you're going to have a good time with this. Like, I'm planning on platinuming this. I love this game, but again, from that critical standpoint, it doesn't quite reach that height of being a great game. It's highlighted on a 3 out of 5 on both the Kind of Funny scale and my own personal one. But highly recommend, again, if you are PS Plus Extra tier, it is available through that. And I think it's definitely a win for PlayStation in terms of having quality indie games day and date and having this associated with PlayStation. Super good for the brand, super good for players to get to check it out. That is my brief overview with Tchia, but of course there's plenty else to be said.
Blessing, did you play any Tchia?
No, I did not. I did not touch Tchia. I was waiting to hear what the Janet and Greg reviews were of Tchia. But it's funny because Tchia's one that I want to say debuted at maybe a state of play. I remember reacting to a thing and like seeing Tchia and being like, "Oh, this looks really neat." And one of the big reasons is it looks like it takes a lot of influence from games like Zelda,
Sure.
right? Like you look at the meters while they're like, the open land and then gliding across the land and the climbing and all that stuff. I'm like, oh man, this gives me Breath of the Wild vibes, right? And I don't want it to be the meme of like a guy who's only played Breath of the Wild compared to Breath of the Wild. But like,
Trust
gives
me, I
those
have many things to compare this to when I start talking, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, but then like in style too, it reminds me a little bit of Wind Waker, right? I feel like there's a lot of Zelda DNA going on in this game, and so it's been one I've been intrigued about and curious about. But around the time I got the code for this game, I also got the code for Resident Evil 4, and so I was like, well, I gotta choose one. But I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are.
I gotta put me
on it.
first.
I gotta put me first.
Yeah, so I have not rolled credits on Tchia. And I think, I have a whole narrative unto its own of what Tchia is and where I'm at with Tchia, right? And I don't think it comes as a shock to anybody who pays attention on social media how my year has been going, let alone my March, is that I'm not good. And the day this goes up on Friday, a Kind of Funny podcast is going to go up. That's me and Tim talking about this. But like, I'm fucked up right now. And so that obviously is grief and a million other things going on and just, a million other things we'll talk about on the podcast. But what I want to do is take that thread and talk about when I finished my last review, I was like, I need to play Tchia. And I forget if it was Thursday or Friday of last week here in the office. Must have been Friday, actually. And I turned it. I played a couple things on PlayStation VR, Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners, and then popped into. I'm like, I need to do Tchia so I can do this. This looks like a Greg game. The problem is that I wasn't feeling like Greg on that day. So I put it on and jumped into it, and it was like It's beautiful. I love the art style. I love the music. I love all these things. And I was sitting there just fucking grumpy and depressed and like, you know, I don't want to do this. I just want to wrestle. I just want to go play 2K23. You know what I mean? I want to just do my
Just wanna
facts and
wrestle.
shit. You know what I mean? Blah, blah, blah. And, you know, I put an hour into it and it was like pulling teeth for me where I was like, this is checking all the Greg boxes, but I'm not there. Like, I'm just not there for this game. I need to step away. And so I stepped away. And I was like, it doesn't matter. Janet's reviewing it, so I don't need to push it. I can just ask her questions and talk about it and find out when we get there. To then throughout the weekend, I felt more and more of a pull to go back to Tchia. Like it started softly, and then I was like, damn, that actually like exploring that island is fun, and I do love the color and the other. Like, you know, when we talked about it, you know, ahead of time, not on the show, I don't think, just in hanging out shooting the shit. I was like, I don't know, like. The soul jumping into animals, I don't know. That doesn't sound enticing to me. But the way I use it in puzzles, like, damn, that's actually kind of inventive. And use it as a traversal mechanic. I'm like, fuck. And so last night I finally got to go back to it and sit down and play through it. And it was one of those things that it was like, I was in the mood, I was in the mindset, and that hit for me. And so I think obviously Janet's review is the review, 3 out of 5 for the Kind of Funny scale. Especially since I'm early in it, right? I'm still first third, probably. I'm still definitely the first third of it. So it's like I'm not even remotely where it would be. I can see what you're saying, Janet, because that on the angry Friday of playing it, I was just like, it's just fucking fetch quest. All it is fetch. You know what I mean? Go do this thing for this person so that they can give you the thing that you need to go do for the other person. And it was like, even after a few hours of playing last night, I was like, that is still what this game is, but. As much as the Zelda ring's true, as much as a million other games people are going to want to and understandably throw at it, what it reminds me of, what resonates with me, and this is a reductive take, but it's, you know, an elevator take of it, right? It is a playable Moana, where it feels so much like that. What I found so enchanting and charming about Moana, I see in this game, where I love the character, I love the animation, I love the color palette, I love the music. That's been so surprising to me. Is I know that there's a ukulele in the game, sure, whatever. And in the trailer, you see you playing a ukulele, but to get to these sections where it is like, all right, cool. You know, now you're gonna play the Guitar Hero section of it, of, you know, to join into this your own song or somebody else is singing or into this giant jamboree that's happening at the town festival kind of thing. I find it okay. This is cool to play it, but then the ability to just hit L3 and have it autoplay. And not feel like you're punished. The game is very much, I think, designed to remove the friction points where there are the press pause, right? And it's like, do you want to skip this gameplay segment? Like to get out of this thing altogether. Like it's meant to be enjoyed. And that's why I think it's a step beyond watching Moana, but it's in that kind of same vibe. And that I know would turn certain people off. I love it because I'm not turning off the music game because I think it's hard. I'm turning it off because I think the song's fucking dope. They are singing in French, and I can't play the game and read the lyrics. And again, it's so beautiful. Like last night, I was doing this thing where, you know, for one of the little villages, I did the thing, and we're having this, and I'm just like, capture. Like I thought all the shots looked so good and were so much fun and were so lively and so like, oh man, like I want to exist in this world. But to Janet's point that I can already see it, like again, I call it Fetch Quest, you know, simulator or whatever. It is that idea of existing in that world is that lazy, slower paced tropical vacation. It is the lazy river, like when you're on there, right? Like the game is just meant to be like, it is the open world of Zelda and it is climb anywhere and it is a glider, but it's also like, just, hey man, why don't you get that braided thing over there? You know, I keep turning the ukulele, very Zelda like, can be used to change the time of day. And so when I'm like, you know what? I'm making my way across this entire island. Let's turn it to night because then I can see in the distance the things that, like the pillars of light for what I should go collect and go do that way. Janet, am I going to end up hating this game or is it, because you like the game even though you think it gets repetitive? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Like, I don't think you're end up hating it by any means. I think especially too, and I hesitate to say this because I don't want to feed the like, reviewer rush game versus true experience. I never beat the game. The true experience is never beating the game. It's also, if we want to go statistics wise, because most people don't finish games. But again, putting all that aside, I do think playing at your pace, chilling, enjoying it. Yeah. I only noticed like once I got to that final third where like the glass kind of shattered for me, where I'm like, and again, I'm doing a review, a formal review. I did a written review, a video review. Like I'm in the weeds in depth on this thing. So I'm like, well, you know, I gotta be honest. Yeah, it doesn't quite do everything I hoped it would. I think for me, the number one beef I have with it is just that they invite so many moments of creativity, which is so fun, so great with the soul capture or soul jump mechanic, where you can go into a rock or a deer, and then you can be a dog digging in the sand. And they do so many cool things with that. But I think specifically in the main quest line, there's not a lot of use cases for doing those things in interesting ways, with two exceptions. One is early on, and it's you need an egg and you can become a chicken and then lay the egg.
Yeah.
I'm like, hell yeah,
I did
that's
that
so
one, yeah.
cute, so smart. And there's another one later on. But other than like those two, there's not, and again, there might be other stuff maybe if you do like the treasure hunting. Like my friend and coworker at MinMax at Game Informer, Kyle Hilliard, he did the review for Game Informer, and he like mentioned in his review that he really like loved like the treasure hunting, or just talking to him, he talked about that a lot. I didn't do any of the treasure hunting. The treasure hunting's optional. So I'm not saying there's not maybe moments off the beaten path that might invoke that, but I did a lot of side stuff and I did the main quest, and there wasn't just a lot of times where I felt like they got as much juice out of those mechanics as they could have. And that's kind of where I'm left wanting, where there isn't once you do one thing, you've kind of done it all. I get a braid trinket. They're already marked on the map really easily. You go to the points of views to sort of do a shout, which kind of functions as a scan to add stuff to your map even further. So it's like everything's just on my map. So it is a lot of, okay, well, I need this thing. Let me go to where it's marked on the map. And then getting there, you can just like, let me turn to a bird and then just fly over there. So then there's not as much engagement with, I think, some of the systems they have. And for that reason, it does become like, I compare it in my review to, this is supposed to be an adventure game, but it's as much of an adventure as it is being at the grocery store with a really detailed list. Like you're going and you're getting the thing. Now, that sounds really like negative, but the reason that I end up not minding that as a player in terms of, hey, I'm playing the game, am I having fun with the game, am I enjoying it, do I recommend it? The answer to all those things is yes, because I just like being in that sandboxy world. I think they do the jump works really well. It's very fluid. Swinging from the trees when you like pull back the joystick and the tree can like fling you. The way that it isn't super harsh with the stamina meter, and you can easily upgrade the stamina meter. The stamina meter is also kind of your health. Like someone in the chat asked, is there fall damage? Like there can be if you fall really high, but that's all based on your stamina meter. So, and that auto regenerates, as you're standing still or not jumping or whatever, or not climbing, I guess. So I just enjoy doing that. Like I like checking boxes. This is a check the box kind of game. Like
100%.
I spent like an hour like getting pearls in the water, like grinding for pearls and resources to buy like a pink daisy like decal thing for my boat. And like that was fun. I had fun doing that. I think it's well constructed, and I enjoyed that process. But again, looking at it from the more, game criticism lens, this does hit as that 3 out of 5 for me because it is lacking in a little bit more by the way of good mission design. Like I think the world design, fire. The mechanics, fire. The way there's so much love infused into this game, which is not to say that every developer isn't, pouring love and hard work and detail into their projects. But with Tchia, I truly feel the results of that work. Like straight up, I looked up flights to New Caledonia.
Dude, I was thinking the same thing last night playing. I'm like, I gotta go to New Caledonia. This place looks dope.
You can go there. I'll watch the Instagram story because it might take me a while to get there. Okay, I gotta see if maybe Isaiah can get us there. I can't get us there. Maybe Isaiah could. But and even looking at like if you look on YouTube, there's these the developers did like a bunch of content for this game, and one of them is like these devlogs comparing New Caledonia and the islands there to the game. And straight up, like I watched just the first video of that during my review, shot for shot with some of these.
Wow.
And it's funny because I've never been there. I wasn't really like super familiar with the terrain of New Caledonia until playing this game. But playing this game and enjoying the scenery and the flora and the fauna, it made me want to go and look, okay, let me see what New Caledonia is like in real life. And then seeing it be such a one-to-one, like it just hits so hard. And there's something so beautiful. And I think there's power in that beauty they created with that. So again, even though I do think some spots are lacking, I still really love this game. And it's why it's like, again, what Blessing always mentions with what I mentioned back in the day, the 3 out of 5 love is like a 5 out of 5. Tchia is that for me, where I'm enjoying getting all this stuff. Why do I like it? I like playing crane machines in games, and or claw machines. This one has a claw machine. I'm getting trophies doing the slingshot thing, and I'm using those trophies, and then that gives me a costume, and I can wear a cow hat on my head. And like I like that stuff. That stuff excites me. It intrigues me. It gives me joy. And I think if you're that person. If this is resonating with you, you are absolutely going to love Tchia.
Yeah.
And you might still have that conclusion that I have, Greg, of like, yeah, I can see why this isn't, moving heaven and earth for people. But it'll still be a game that you'll probably really love. Like, if you love it now from the jump, you're still going to love it. It's just that you might, like, for me, I found myself wishing that there was that little extra oomph to really put it over the edge into greatness. But again, a good game's still a good game. And I think Tchia is very much like a good game and a great one to have on PlayStation Plus.
I think one of the interesting parts about it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is I had no hype coming in for Tchia. Like, it was obviously an indie and PlayStation was behind it, and that's fine. But the more we heard about it or looked at it, like the animal jumping thing, I'm like, oh, I'm not going to like that. Oh, it's like puzzly. I'm not going to like that. To get here and find that it reminds me so much of Alba, the photo game I played before and liked. And and Alba was in the same thing of like, oh, I spread that out over multiple weeks. I enjoyed what I did, but I had to be in the mood of, I want to go to this vacation island spot and run around and do stuff. And that's how I feel about this one, where I don't see Tchia being like, I got to get home every night and play Tchia till I platinum it or beat it. I see it being that I chip away at it over time, and it's just something I go and do because, it's easy enough to jump in and figure out where you were and what's going on with it. Everything you're saying, Janet, I think resonates with me for it. One of the questions I saw go through came from Snug Slacks, also known as Slug Snacks once in a while, who asked, how long did it take you to beat it?
It took me, according to PlayStation's very broken clock, 10 hours.
Okay.
The dev/PR side couch this as like a 10 to 15 hour experience, which I do think that's probably pretty accurate. I personally beat it in 3 pretty long sessions. Like, I played, a good amount the first time. And obviously I also did the preview, which did not carry over because I did the preview on PC Epic Game Store and the full review on PlayStation. But it also made it so that like I kind of like I had the combat super down, which there is combat in this game. That question I've seen come up just like throughout conversations I've had online with this game. It's very minimal and it's almost completely optional except for a quest at the end.
Is it just those paper people or okay?
Yeah, I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation. I think it's I want to say Mano. I might be missing that. It's Maano, and they're like, so there's a big bad Mayo
Livonia or something like that.
Mainavora. I knew all this if you watch my video review, I say everything correctly because I looked at it right before. Here a little bit less so because I'm just reading it. Again, the everything is in French/traditional languages of New Caledonia by default and by like, that's the only way to hear it. That's the only way to hear the game. But the language for subtitles, obviously that's your choice, and they have a number of languages to pick from. Me, of course, using English. But that's why I don't like know the pronunciation as well, because I have to look it up outside of the game. But they're like soldiers made of fabric and totems made by like the big bad that you're kind of, the person that's the reason that your father gets taken in the beginning, which is this is like spoilers for the first 1 minute.
I mean,
that's
the whole basis of the game, right?
Exactly. Like
your
even
father
the
gets
PR
taken,
and all
you have
that.
to try to help him get back.
Exactly. So they have these encampments and they're throughout the island. It's optional for you to like go and do that. The way it's optional to do a lot of the stuff. Like, you don't have to like do the rock stacking minigame to get more soul melodies. You don't have to, you need a few braided trinkets, but not even that many. It's very much a game that gives you a lot of things you can do, but allows you to like not necessarily do any of them. Like, you don't have to do the shooting range minigame. You don't have to do the races. You don't have to, but I would argue that's some of the most fun stuff in the game. Like, the fun of the game is enjoying the island and checking out all the activities. But to bring it back to the combat, basically there's 2 ways to go about the combat. You can pick up like stuff like a lantern and throw it as Tchia, like as the girl, or the way that I do it is I soul jump into those objects, and then you can do a soul toss, which is basically when you throw the object and like you kind of bounce out of the object and the object gets like tossed. Yeah, and all those things happen in slow motion. Like, you jumping into the creature or object, that's slow mode for you to get in there. You doing the toss, it's also slowed down, kind of similar to like, Horizon, like Aloy's focus, how it slows down, you can kind of aim. I had some trouble with that in the preview, like getting used to the feeling, but once you get used to that capture and toss mechanic, I was like sick out there with this thing. I was a fucking god, and it's not a hard game or anything by any means, so it doesn't really mean a lot, but I was like, man, I'm fucking playing N1 Tchia. Like, I'm dropping in, I'm like jumping into something, I'm throwing a log, I'm bouncing back out, I'm inside a gasoline can. Like, I was destroying this army, and it was super fun. So I actually did end up really enjoying that combat aspect of it too.
So far for those fire guys, all I do is I possess a log in the fire and then just roll that around their encampment, setting them all on fire.
I never even thought to do that, and I do think those are times where like you see like pockets of what that next level that I didn't quite reach. Where
Sure.
I think with this idea of just taking the Breath of the Wild part out of it, which is very easy comparison, but the fact that it's a physics-driven sandbox, the idea is, and I don't know if the etymology of how we use sandbox comes from this, but it's that idea of play and freedom. And hearing that from you is so cool. And I think what I wanted to see from this game that I think it kind of lacked is a little bit more opportunities for stories like that, more ways to get things done, a little bit more, and missions that are constructed in a way that offers a multitude of approaches. Now, I think your example with combat is a really cool one because, yeah, I didn't do that. Every now and then I do see moments of, oh, you did it this way. Like, I didn't realize you could do that. Like, I didn't realize you could eat the food you picked up, and instead of just going to like they have food stands that can help like replenish one of your meters, like your soul meter. So there's a few pockets of that, but I do think that the missions don't fully take you there in the way that I wish they did.
An example would be like, if you don't mind me cutting you off,
No,
of
go
like
ahead.
where I am right now, where I was like, oh, that's neat. I hope there's more of that. Is like, you know, early on in the game, a woman wants a crab. So I went and got the crab, and it's like, I was like, oh, there's crab traps outside of it. So I'll possess the crab and then walk it into the trap and then pop out. And the crab trap itself wasn't actually interactable like that. I was like, oh, fine. So I possessed the crab still, then I walk it up on the beach, then I popped out of it, and I had to run and chase it and grab it real quick. And then I started running with it, like holding it above my head, like fucking Link with a bomb. And then finally I noticed the button prompt of like, oh, store it. I was like, oh, I could do that way. Okay. It's like, and then I became a bird, and then I flew to the location to get it. It was like, that was pretty fun all around. I enjoyed that, trying to figure out what to do with these mechanics and how to make it go.
Yeah, I think too, it's funny because like I talk about wanting a little bit more almost like pushback from the mission structure. But again, that's not to be conflated with inherent difficulty, because I do really like what they do with so much of the difficulty in terms of you can skip the rhythm games, which also the first two are really easy. After that, if you're on like a controller on PlayStation, those rhythm games are like kind of hard, but in a good way. Like I had fun doing them. Like they were really challenging to like swirl around, like to hit the different chords and things quickly. But having the option to skip that, having the option to skip entire gameplay sections. They even have an option that's, I forgot what they call it, but it's basically like family friendly mode. And it's if you're, you know, playing with a child, or you're like setting up for like a child to play Tchia, and you don't want them to see some of the more like dark content in the game, you can like toggle it and that'll like change some stuff. So like a light example of that is there's this really funny scene where one of the things you need is like a dead chicken, and the girl like just takes a knife and just cuts the chicken's head off, and like the chicken's fine, it's kind of walking around not dead yet with little blood squirting out of it, like kind of
It's
looking
fine.
like
Just a headless chicken with blood spurting out of its neck. I saw
like
this last night. I was like, damn.
yeah, like a Among Us style gore, but that is, you know, a lot if you're, you know, a young kid. And there's a few other scenes too. Like this story goes to some shockingly dark places. Like I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a moment in this where I'm playing it, I see a scene, I immediately capture it, and I'm like, Isaiah, you have to look at what just happened, because it was so fucking crazy. Like I was like, holy shit, this is like some dark shit that they put in here. And there's also a lot of moments of humor too that I was kind of surprised by. Like there's a scene early on where like she has to fill out all this paperwork, and just the way it's like edited with like the sound design in there. So I think while my holistic like opinion of Tchia is that it's a little bit lacking to hit that level of greatness, I do think there's so many pockets of it, and I think that's one reason why I am so hot on it. You see so many good, smart, fun decisions made that the sum of all those parts ends up being a really enjoyable experience, even though for me, again, it doesn't quite hit that 4 level, but I still really love it, and I'm excited for more people to play it, and I wish it scored higher because I drafted it in my fantasy credit, but that's okay.
How do you guys feel like this fits into, I guess, the ethos of where PlayStation indies are? Because over the last few years, right, as we've gotten into the new generation of PlayStation, you've seen them promote games like Chicory. We've seen them include games like Sifu and Kana and other Stray, and like other games that almost fit this indie to like AAA indie into like maybe even AA space that they've been pushing. That feels like they're trying to create this narrative of what a PlayStation indie looks like. Does Tchia feel like it fits within that narrative that they've created? And is Tchia something you'd like to see more from PlayStation indies in particular?
Janet, I'll start since I'm the earliest and I know you'll have more to say. My first impression of it would be, yeah, it fits there. Because I feel like when you run through the indies you just talked about, and I include Tchia, right, you're talking about indies that have, I think, a bump in quality. Not that I'm insulting anybody, probably time, budget, stuff like that in terms of what you're doing. You're talking about a Stray or something. And then have something to say. I don't know if Chia's saying something in terms of its story because I'm not that deep into it, but definitely like The shock's no one, I'm sure, because I'm a complete moron. Like, I'd never heard of New Caledonia before this game, and it is all over this game. I mean, they make a point to keep saying it, put it almost as the tagline of the game, and remind you are there. And like, it's definitely saying something about that place. It's definitely giving that kind of love and that kind of TLC to the gameplay and what the world is and the island. Like Janet's talking about, of like, I can sit there and be like, I don't know how the story will pan out or how it'll end, but I definitely am of the mindset that they were like, let's pack this place full of cool shit to do and things to check off your list, like Janet's talking about. But like yesterday's play session, I got to one section where it was like, I had to craft a totem. And it's like, this is the introduction to the mechanic, right? That'll become like, I use this to open up secret areas or whatever. But it was like, I got it and it was just a log. And then I had like the chisel and I was like, and it showed me what it wanted me to do. And I was like, what? And then I chipped away at one and I'm like, I guess I'm done. And then I looked at the thing, I'm like, oh no, like the one I'm supposed to make only has one whisker on this side. I have 3 here. So you chip away. Oh, and his eyes, and he's missing this tooth. And I was like, oh man, like I did it. And I was like, I fucking love this. I want to go find all those other ones because I like that mini game so much that I want to do that throughout. Like, I feel like that level of quality speaks to what PlayStation's trying to do with their indie lineup. But Janet, you can say better than I on the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that general take. And for me, I would say I'll kind of take a different angle. The number one reason I think this fits in great with the library of PlayStation indies is because it fills a gap that PlayStation is kind of lacking in. I think even in the AAA space to a degree. Like, let me know if you can think of examples, because a lot of people like the style of physics-driven sandbox adventure game. I'll just say it, Zelda-like. It is a Zelda-like game. It's just not puzzly, which again, some people really fuck with, because I ain't going front. Like, I love Zelda. But man, playing some of those games, like I'm too fucking dumb to play this game. I don't know where the puzzles get really freaking complex. And I do think Chicory is Zelda-like in its general construction as well, though it wouldn't be the number one game I immediately point to. I think just because it's so centered around like adventure and like creativity more. Like, it's kind of a funkier thing, but that game's also kind of Zelda-like. So again, not saying there's literally none, but please give the examples if you have them, because people look out for these games. But I think it helps check that box, because for me, there aren't a lot of those kind of experiences. Even if you look at something like Nintendo, which obviously has Zelda proper, but they also have a lot of clones as well, like available on that platform. And I think PlayStation is kind of lacking in that type of adventure, and also like, even not that everything needs to be this, but a family friendly type of adventure too. Like, there just aren't a lot of those experiences that I can think to point to. Again, toss out a couple examples if y'all can think of some, whether between you two or the chat. But that's another reason I think it really helps round out that collection, because it fills, especially like with the open world aspect of it being indie, it fills a spot that was lacking. And I think the number one thing that PlayStation should be, and probably does have in mind when they're coming up with these, deals and such, is making sure that you round out the experiences to the point where, sure, everyone's going to still associate PlayStation with AAA single player story. Like, I think that is PlayStation's bread and butter.
Of course.
But you want it to be a place where I want to be able to get everything from PlayStation. My competitive, my indie, my open, all these different aspects, and have it like deliver on everything. And I think Tchia fills a gap that they do sort of have. But again, if people got examples, toss them out.
Well, that's Tchia. I'm excited to play more of it. Janet, thank you for your review. Everybody, of course, go to pen2pixels.com if you want to read Janet's entire review, where she goes into more detail and has more fun.
Tchia.
Tchia. Blessing.
Greg.
What's happening this week in PlayStation?
Neil Druckmann's out here teasing Last of Us Season 2. I'm going to read from Zarmina Khan at PlayStation Lifestyle. Naughty Dog co-president Neil Druckmann has tweeted a peculiar poster for HBO's The Last of Us Season 2, and it teases something fans will instantly recognize if they've played The Last of Us Part 2. This poster was originally shared for Outbreak Day back in 2017, but players will know exactly what Druckmann did here. Barrett has it pulled up if you're watching the video version, where Neil tweeted out, "No The Last of Us on HBO tonight." Of course, this is on Sunday. But Season 2 is already on its way. Endure and survive. And you see an image of what looks like... It looks like Abby's arm. I gotta assume
Definitely
it's
Abby's arm.
Yeah,
Hell yeah, it's Abby's arm.
Very, very buff arm. Abby's arm holding a hammer with The Last of Us under it. And yeah, like, I guess where I want to take this is...
I was going to say, I saw people freaking out about it. I didn't get it. But I was like, this is an old poster.
Yeah, that was my thing,
Abby's
too.
going to be in the part 2, and she's going to beat the shit out of everybody.
I thought it was a fan poster.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
when I saw Neil tweet this, I was like, Neil, you gotta cite your sources. You can't just tweet fan stuff out of context. You gotta link the original thing. But I guess this is for back when they were first starting marketing for The Last of Us Part 2. I guess the question I want to take this to is like, what do you guys expect from season 2? Do you guys think that it'll be a 1-for-1, like, let's match up the exact format we did for Last of Us Part 2? Spoilers for Last of Us Part 2 as we get into this, right? Like, is it going to be first half Ellie, second half Abby, or do you guys think they recontextualize it for TV?
They recontextualize it.
Yeah.
And they already said that they're gonna. Which I wish I knew where they said this, but I believe they already said they're going to change some things.
Yeah.
In addition to like making it like longer than just a singular season, and they already changed things for like the first one anyway to a degree. I think we'll see.
That's the
more
context
changes.
where I believe it was either Craig or Neil talking about like, yeah, we'll change things for season 2 or for Last of Us Part 2 in the same way that in season 1 there were change ups for Last of Us Part 1, right, to make it more appropriate for TV.
See, and when we did this conversation on the Last of Us recap show we did for Screencast, the morning of the finale, yeah, that's right, the review of the finale, before we talked to Neil, I was very much like, no, I think they're going to have to intercut them. I don't think they want to do season 2 Ellie story, season 3 Abby story. I think that you turn people off, yada, 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 blah, 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 blah. And then when we talked to Neil, I was like, fuck, the way he was talking about it, I thought he made it sound in that spoiler cast with us very much like, well, no, we like Last of Us Part 2 how it was, and like, not that we're not going to make any changes. Clearly, there'll be changes, but I left that. And I was like, fuck, they're probably going to stick to the same thing. I think I don't know.
That was kind of the point of the original piece of art was
Yeah.
to get you kind of on one side so hardcore, and then have you swing the other way. And so I think to try to go back and forth between season 2, I think lessens that in a way of what the story is trying to do for the people consuming it. So, I think they stick with one character for each season.
Yeah, I based on actually the same thing, right? The Neil Druckmann interview. I think that's the direction they might go, right? Of sticking with that thing. I personally get scared of that, right? I think for the original game, it is for me, that is such a video game story. Hey, yeah, let's
Point A to point B.
It's point A to point B. You're getting all that in one package, so you're not taking a 2-year break between Ellie's story and Abby's part of the story, right? And letting that gestate. And then also, I compared the game during our spoiler cast to like Shadow of the Colossus, in the way that for me, Shadow of the Colossus works so well as a game because it is a video game, right? Because they are putting you in those shoes, and you are going through killing this Colossus yourself, having that realization of like, oh shit, what have I done? What am I doing? And part of why Last of Us Part 2 hits so well for me is the fact that it is, I am in Ellie's shoes. Like, I am literally in Ellie's shoes, seeing, like, I played Last of Us Part 1. I am seeing what Abby did to this person I loved. I am now going out on this quest to, like, get revenge, doing all these things. And it is all me. And then having that switch to Abby and actually having to be in her shoes, I think tells that story so much better than what you could do in TV. Yeah. Like, Last of Us Part 1, the transition to a television show, at first I was a bit trepidatious. By the time we got to it, I was confident because they were saying all the right things, treated it the right way, having Neil involved, having Troy and everybody involved. Season 2 is the one where season 2 and the future are the ones where I'm like, oh man, all right, let's see. Because I for me, that works so well as a video game. I don't know if I'm gonna receive it as well as a TV version if they leave it as is, and I don't know like if the response is gonna be that much better, which it doesn't have to be. Obviously, like even Neil said, like we don't care, like what the response is. Right, it is what it is. We want to get a reaction out of people because that's what art does. That said, I feel like the format of the art worked so well as a video game, and I don't know if that same format would do it as a TV show. I think I would prefer to see it like intercut in some ways, or at least bleeding through in some ways, right? Teasing the Abby switch up. Janet, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I'd like to see maybe some degree of it being intercut, because I think even as a game, like there's 3 endings to the game. Not literally. It just feels like, oh, we're done here. Oh no, obviously there's more of the game left. Now we're Abby, and then it's like we're done here, and they're like, no, there's still more of the game left, and then I'm like, okay, now we're done, and then they're like, yeah, we're done, but also like here's a cutscene at the end. And it's like, and it does end up being a lot to take in. So yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't know. I'm not a TVologist, I'm not. I'm not a script writer. I feel like they did a pretty good job with season 1. I do think, and I mentioned this I think last week, so I don't want to be too repetitive. But with season 1, I was like watching it, and I'm like, wow, man, this is a better place for this story. This story is hitting harder than it did in the game. And then I got like halfway through, and I'm like, actually, the game might be the best place for this story, which is where the story started. Who knew? And I also think too, like, it doesn't necessarily have to be better or worse. I think it just needs to be good at what it is, which is like in this case a TV show, because there are people that are going to be watching it that haven't played the game at all. Yeah, I don't know. I think some changes would need to be made in terms of that narrative structure, because I think even in the game aspects of that narrative structure, once you're done with sort of with the second talk, I think the way that game wraps up in terms of narrative construction feels a little bit whiplashy. So I think something would have to be done to make it not quite feel that way. And then I think there's also the struggle of which I know it's, debatable. Y'all had this conversation around, I forgot which show it was. Maybe it was Mandalorian, of talking about filler versus not filler and what is filler. Does filler really even exist in
episodes, as Carboni puts it?
Yes,
Episodes
exactly.
Of a television show.
But at the same time,
Shut up, Carboni.
Watching with my family, I know everyone's like, oh my God, the DLC, the Left Behind DLC, and now seeing on screen. I'm not trying to downplay that, but my family didn't give a fuck about that. They're like, what was this for filler episode? Because they didn't know those people. They didn't really care like that.
Yeah.
It's a different thing. And not that my family is the end all be all of TV criticism, but I wondered how many people had that reaction as well. Because again, we got this as DLC after the fact of having played the game. So it's like a whole different thing. So yeah, very curious to see what they do with it.
This is something I was talking about when I originally was I think they have to shake it up. I think they have to try to tell them, not concurrently all the way, right? We still need it to be that Joel and Tommy meet Abby in the group and we don't know who they are. Because you can only, that's going to be such a fucking awesome episode of television and catch so many people by surprise to have it be, you meet this other group of, survivors. There's this blizzard. You finally get in the house. Why y'all looking at us? You act like you know us, right? And that's going to be fucking insane. I can't wait for that moment.
Yeah.
And even then, I think it might be that, if it is that, not that if it is, why y'all looking at you act like, that's because we do. And Abby, shoots Joel right there, right? I feel like that's a cut and that's credits for the episode, the week, right? And then I could see the next week's episode being the introduction of Abby's story, right?
Yeah.
Her and her dad saving the zebra, then all the stuff. Then fuck, that's why she shot him. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And then we meet back up with
And
that
that's my
story.
thing. That's those are the kind of switch ups that I would like to see. Right?
Yeah.
That I think could be additive for a TV format. Because the difference between TV and video games is for video games, at least for The Last of Us Part 2, you are locked to that character, right? They could have done it in a way where it's every other chapter you're switching between the characters, but the way they decided to do it for the video game is, hey, you are playing as Ellie. That way you are progressing as Ellie, upgrading as Ellie, getting inside of the story, and then boom, second half, you are playing as Abby, upgrading as Abby, getting that side of the story, all that stuff. For Last of Us, the TV show, especially when you look at season 1, it is, hey, it's episodes, right? It is these standalone stories. It is, here's Sam and Henry's episode, here's Bill and Frank's episode, here's the Left Behind episode, here's Joel and his daughter's episode, right? It is so hey, we are telling all these individual stories within the season to then, build up the whole thing. Last of Us Part 2, I don't know if Last of Us Part 2 lends itself as much to the format the way it is, but I think it can if you do rearrange things in a certain way to make it make more sense. And for a TV show, I think it is more natural to go, all right, now here's the episode about Abby and her partner. All right, now here's the episode about Ellie and Dina, and when they get to Seattle and the horse blows up, I think you can find ways to work around it. No,
We've known you for so long.
But yeah, I'm excited to see. And I think the other thing too is in the way that the video games are, we have Last of Us Part 1 and Last of Us Part 2, right? And Last of Us Part 2 we still look at as Ellie's story. It's Ellie and Abby's story, right? But for TV, because it is seasonal. And I know they're probably not calling it. Well, they aren't calling it Part 1, Part 2 for the TV show. But in the way that we assume it's going to be, season 2 being Ellie's story, season 3 possibly just being Abby's half of the story. That is a interesting and maybe weird way to format a Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. By the time we're getting to Part 3, it's oh, okay, this is now entirely different story. I don't know if that hits the same way on a TV show versus the way that it is packaged as one thing in the video game, if that makes sense.
Sure.
But we shall see.
We shall see.
Next up, we got some breaking news for you for PS Love You XOXO.
For us live.
For us live, yeah.
You on Friday will probably know more than we do about this.
This will be old news by the time, you're listening to this. But breaking, Spider-Man 2 could come in September. I'm reading from Grant Taylor Hill at Insider Gaming. Tony Todd, Venom's voice actor, has dropped a telling message on Twitter that apparently confirms Spider-Man 2 will be launching in September with an aggressive publicity campaign kicking off in August. In the post on Twitter, Todd, who has apparently flouted any NDA that may have been in place, responded to a comment stating that he'd been told commercials will start dropping in August to advertise the release of Spider-Man 2, which will now reportedly launch in September. Todd posted an image on Twitter showing himself in a motion capture frame, to which a user stated, "Can't come quick enough, Spider-Man 2." Now, we're not sure why, but Tony Todd responded with full unrestricted transparency, clearly stating the following, quote, "Looks like September." Sorry, that's a really funny reply. Looks like September. Massive publicity coming in August. Commercials start dropping in August, so I'm told. Hold on to your ... and hold your breath. Gonna be necessary. And that's the tweet.
That's the tweet.
That's really
and
funny.
It's blowing up right now live as we are podcasting. And so people are responding. Some guy responds, "Yo, Tony, is this for real, man? Because I'm losing it." And Tony Todd just goes, "Oops." And then he retweeted the oops. He retweeted his own oops. So you can see it is not just a response. Tony Todd's like, "Fuck Insomniac. I don't give a shit what their plan was."
That's so funny. I mean, cool.
He also retweeted somebody who said the NDA and went, "Shh." He retweeted that.
Does he not know how NDAs work?
I don't know, man.
That is so funny. All right,
He
cool.
retweeted, "Surely we'll see gameplay in the May/June with the rumored showcase."
Oh my god.
Do you think he's just like, by the way, Barry, you can pull away the spoilers, bro thing. Unless these are spoilers for Spider-Man's release date.
Venom's in it.
Venom's in it, spoilers. Do you think he like just listens to KFGD and he's like, oh yeah, they talk about it probably being September. So
I think it's a normal thing where I think so many voice actors just don't, like, it's just, okay, yeah, somebody's saying, "Oh man, I can't wait." You don't have to wait long. He thinks he's probably doing the right thing of like promoting the game or whatever, right?
But also, just looking at his filmography, he doesn't do a lot of VO work.
Yeah.
Is the thing. Like, he's primarily like an actor, like television and film and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So
That's usually when you see the mistakes. I remember a TV actor who back in the day came over to do video games, and for around PlayStation All Stars. He responded to some fan being like, "It's so awesome that X, Y, and Z are all in this game." And he's like, "It's an honor to work alongside them." And I DM'd him like, "Dude, none of that's announced." He's like, "Oh shit, I'm sorry." And it turned out to actually be a rumor. He didn't know. They were like saying like, they were like, they were going off the IMDb page that had characters on it that weren't actually in the game. And like,
yeah,
I mean,
it's the same way that Norman Reedus basically leaked Death Stranding 2, right? Like that was the thing that he talked about in an interview. And it's like, yeah, Hollywood and TV and movies are way more transparent when it comes to projects being greenlit than video games, which are very secretive. And so, yeah, usually it's like I can talk about this thing.
It's more funny that Tony Todd's just like, "Well, I said it, so now I'm just going to fucking double down and retweet everything."
I just love how unprompted it was, too, because, like, wait, was the tweet really like, "Oh yeah, Spider-Man 2 can't come quick enough," and his reply is like, "September," like it's happening this September.
Yeah, that's all it is.
That's
Can't
so
come quick
funny.
enough.
Now, now let's see. To cause some drama, when does Starfield come out again? That had a date.
Yeah,
that dated
September something or other.
Oh,
Yeah, someone in the
interesting.
chat said Spider-Man versus Starfield.
Yo, that's
Question mark.
spicy. I love some. Yeah, it's Starfield is September 6th, 2023. Oh, I love that. I love that. Real spicy.
Spider-Man by a mile.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm gonna play both.
same
I'm gonna
goes.
find. The
I'm gonna
time to
play both. Yeah, but
yeah.
I'm saying
No,
you're
yeah, they're
making.
very different kinds of games.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And like,
so will they
Spider-Man
critically be very different in score? We'll have to see.
Find
But
out.
like, who? I mean, I only care for the fantasy critic. I forget who has what. Who has
Paris
Spider-Man
has
2?
Starfield, probably, right?
Paris. Yeah, probably.
I'm checking.
The Paris kiss of
That
death,
seems like
man.
an
That's what we're calling it in
X
my
thing to do.
house. If I was Starfield, I'd be really nervous that Paris drafted me in my.
Remember when fucking Mike was like, "It's got to be game of the generation." That's the amount of pressure he's put on Starfield's shoulders. Todd Howard's like,
That's
"Come
about
on,
every
man."
single Xbox release. All right, Greg.
Oh,
Don't
Gary
worry.
Whitta has
Yeah.
Starfield. Gary Whitta has Starfield.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, that's definitely Paris and Mike picking for Gary Whitta and being like, "We'll give him all the risky ones. Give him Armored Core. You don't know. Give him Redfall." And
I
Lies
mean,
of P.
Gary's doing all right. What does he have? 14? Is it 14 total right now? Right?
Yeah, it's
'Cause
14 off Hogwarts.
Only one of his games came out so far.
This is what I mean. You're talking about like Starfield versus Spider-Man 2. I'll
Yeah.
tell you right now, I'm knocking out Spider-Man 2 so fast.
Yeah.
I'm gonna platinum the shit out of that game in like 4 days.
Just like he played in Miles
Paris
Morales.
has Spider-Man 2.
Like, because I had 2 playthroughs. I didn't get. I'm gonna platinum it one
nice.
day. I'm gonna do a stream. I got like 3 hours left of gameplay to platinum that game.
Sure.
I'm gonna do it. gonna do it before
At
Spider-Man.
this point,
2.
there's a great chance I'm going to platinum Miles Morales on PS4 before you get the PS5.
No, I'm gonna platinum it, and then I'm gonna platinum Spider-Man 2. I'm gonna do it in 4 days, and I'm gonna spend like 2 to 3 weeks.
We could do
nonstop
Bless,
playing
I know
Starfield.
you probably don't want to. I think you already rejected this idea, but we could do. It doesn't have to be a full playthrough, but like Miles Platinum talk before that. Well, I don't know what we'd name it, but because I'm also going after the platinum right now. I don't know if
I've been
we
thinking
can
about
just all do that together.
I've been thinking about making this a streaming thing. I don't know if I should let KindaFunny get the rights to this or just do it on my personal Twitch
Well,
channel.
as the fact that you're talking about it right now, it becomes kind of funny property.
I don't know, man.
I
Listen,
apologize.
Chat, be cool. Nobody needs to hear this, all right? Don't let Greg Miller know I said this. But like, I've been thinking about doing a thing called like Blessings Platinum Run, because there's so many games where I've started my
Oh yeah,
toward the
come and
platinum.
clean up a bunch.
Yeah, I get close enough, and then I just get swept to something else. So like Miles Morales is one of those ones where I've done the second playthrough of Miles Morales, and I just have cleanup to do, so I can finish that off. I have the not Operation. Fuck, I always forget the name of this game. The Aegis Rim. 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got so close to the platinum for that one, and I just need to clean that up. And like, there's a handful of games where I'm so close to the platinum, and I just need to get them. So I've been considering doing a streaming series where I do that.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be a fun one.
I'll tell Mike he'll get you booked.
I
In
don't know
lieu
about
of
that. I can just do it
doing-
on my personal channel.
Yeah, could you though? Because you just talked about it here. So now it's all right.
Twitch.tv/Andy Cortez.
in lieu of doing a series of that, because I had the same idea because I think it'd be super fun. Like you should definitely do that. I just do it for when I hit my sub goal, my daily sub goal. I just work on whatever the next platinum is. And right now my one is Miles Morales, which I'm finally, now that I'm doing the New Game Plus, which is funny because I'm like, man, fuck the New Game Plus, dumb trophy. I hate this, and I stand by that. But I will say I really needed the New Game Plus because I fucking forgot everything about how to play that game. I was fucking just cranking out the worst gameplay I've ever made in front of a live audience. And I just don't remember the button inputs for any of the things. So like going back, it's kind of nice because now I can relearn like all this stuff, and I'm like, oh, that's how I use my electric ability because I like literally forgot how to do that. But yeah, it's been fun.
Oh yeah. Ryan Pavala Higgins in chat says Greg's platinum run sounds like a good idea.
It rolls off the tongue.
You can't just take my idea.
It rolls
and just
off
give
the
it to
tongue.
Greg. I feel like I'm pretty sure that's the
Sounds
definition
really
of
good.
appropriation.
Every
you don't wanna
Wednesday
watch
on
Greg's-
twitch.tv/KindaFunnyGames,
The
youtube.com/KindaFunnyGames.
games Greg plays for his platinums, you don't want to see that.
Yeah, and you guys watched Greg try to platinum Metal Gear Solid 5 for like 8 hours, and he wasn't able to complete it. You think he's gonna do more on stream? He's gonna
It's me,
disappoint
8
you
hours
more
of
on
Z
stream.
For the
Jam
record, I
Ball.
have been kicking around what I want to do for my birthday this year, and I was thinking about for Greg's 40th getting 40 platinums on a stream. And so they would all be like
Nice.
the awful.
They'd all suck though, right?
Yeah, well, a majority of them were. There's a few games that I do have like an hour left in them or whatever.
PlayStation-
How
Cleaning
much?
that
When's
up,
your
though.
birthday? How much time do you have left to prepare for that?
I got a month.
Okay, it's not a lot of time because you could try to queue up some of them if you have some on the.
No,
on
I
the
mean the
fence, some good
overwhelming.
ones.
Janet, it would be 39 garbage ones and then one that I actually have to like
And Metal Gear Solid
do
5.
whatever for. No, even Metal Gear
Yeah.
Solid 5. I got to S rank all these missions. I don't.
Yeah,
The one
do it.
That was the one where you got to be sniping all the like zombies as they come at you. I was like, this is not fun. I don't want to do this.
God, there are zombies in that game.
You know what I mean? Like they're like it doesn't matter.
Oh, and survive.
No,
yeah,
not
so I'm pretty
survive.
sure you're thinking of Survive.
I'm not
Yeah,
thinking of survive.
That's the zombie.
Move on.
PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium games have been for March have been revealed. This is from Mario 64. For PS Plus Extra, you're getting Tchia,
Tchia.
Ghostwire Tokyo, Uncharted Legacy of Thieves, Immortals Phoenix Rising, Rainbow Six Extraction, Life is Strange True Colors / Life is Strange
Nice.
2, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, Street Fighter V Collector's Edition, Untitled Goose Game, Final Fantasy Type 0 HD, Rage 2, Neo, The World Ends With You, and Haven. And then for PS Plus Premium, you're getting Ridge Racer Type 4
Ridge Racer.
for PS1, Ape Escape 2 for PS1, and then Siphon Filter Dark Mirror for PS.
That premium lineup's brutal, man.
Well, you got what's
Those
your
are the
beef with Ridge
classics.
Racer Type 4?
Those are the classics right there.
You're not a big fan of Siphon Filter Dark Mirror?
Is it better than regular Siphon Filter?
I don't know.
And is Ape Escape 2 where they finally learn how to
Escape.
make a game?
Wait,
learn
is
to
that
escape?
Ape Escape 1 slander?
Yeah.
oh,
Did
yeah.
you like Ape Escape 1? Because like,
I played it.
I mean, maybe for the vibes, but not for it being good.
I played
you
it for
know?
the first time finally when they put out PlayStation Premium.
Me too.
And me and Barrett were playing it like on stream or whatever, and I was pleasantly surprised. I was having a good time playing Ape Escape.
You're like, you know what? Isn't
Again,
terrible.
Good vibes. Good vibes.
I was like, you know what? This analog stick technology has a future. Good for them.
Outrageous.
Now it's time for PlayStation Picks. This is where we talk about the games that are coming out this week and the games each of us picked to play on PlayStation. The drop looks like this. Tchia for PS5 and PS4, which again is on PlayStation Plus Extra. Atelier Ryza 3, Alchemist of the End, and The Secret Key for PS5 and PS4. And then Resident Evil 4 Remake for PS5 and PS4. And I guess I can start there in terms of what I picked to play on PlayStation this week, because I got to do the Resident Evil 4 review.
What'd you give it?
I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Wow.
I very much enjoyed
The Tchia
game.
killer.
The Tchia killer is what they call
That's what
Resident
people were
Evil 4.
saying.
No, I had such a good time with this game. For me, it's another I guess entry in the enjoyment that I've been having with the new Resident Evil games as they've been coming out, starting with Resident Evil 2, and then also going back, because I did go back and play Resident Evil 7 for the stream and really enjoyed that as well. But I feel like Capcom has hit such a role with Resident Evil, and they have such a good idea of what modern Resident Evil needs to be.
Sure.
Which is funny, because part of modern Resident Evil is going back to old Resident Evil and remaking and remastering them. But for RE4, I have a similar story as Greg when it comes to RE4, because I remember you talking about, like, yeah, RE4 just never hit for you, right? And like, I've had a similar thing where as a kid, I had friends that would have RE4. I'll watch them play, I'll try it, and like, for whatever reason, they just wouldn't hit for me. And over the years, I'll try to go back. I remember going back on the Wii, trying it, and being like, all right, I feel like it controls a little bit better with the motion controls, but I couldn't stick with it. Went back on PS4. By that time, I felt a little bit dated, and I've been wanting a remake to go back to for RE4. And so now that it's finally here, I feel like I've finally gotten to experience it in a way where I'm like, oh man, this is exactly what I've asked for, right? Like, it feels modernized. Moving while aiming for me is such a big thing that, you know, makes it way easier. The weapon switching, all the stuff feels so good. And then also, just the visuals of it look fantastic, right? It is a Resident Evil game on PlayStation 5. That is like, you know, a remade Resident Evil game. I know RE8 was PS5 as well, but yeah, it looks fantastic. The one thing, like the one thing that I feel like separates my review a little bit from a lot of the other reviews, which are like fans coming in, reviewing RE4, right, and getting to review it as a remake of a game that a lot of people have loved, right? And they got to see the innovation from RE4, right, where it is, you know, the camera angle is you know, was innovative for like being this like close to the shoulder, right? What you see evolve into games like Dead Space, Last of Us, etc. Seeing how dynamic the gameplay was, right? There are so many things that RE4 did at the time that were so innovative. It's very interesting looking at my experience coming into it, where I'm like, I'm not really getting that stuff, right? Because that stuff has happened, and so now I'm just getting RE4 for what it is in this modernized form, which is a very great game, right? A game that I had such a fantastic time with. I look at the puzzle design, I'm like, man, this is so good. I look at the world and like the visuals, and I'm like, god damn, this looks so good. I look at the gameplay and the gunplay, and I'm like, man, this is such a fun time. I really had such a fun time with it, but also at the same time, I'm like, man, I could see this being a 5 out of 5 if I had the RE4, the original RE4 experience, right? The original RE4 nostalgia, which has been very fun to like, I don't know, see both sides of that, as like I've been coming in as a newcomer and seeing people that were fans come in as like people that are like, oh yeah, let's play this thing again and have that same experience.
As a fellow newcomer, sorry if you talked about this in the review, because I didn't watch the podcast.
Boo!
Or listen to the podcast yet. I know. I'm a fake fan. Okay, but where does this land, or what's your ranking of them of modern old Resident Evil? Because I have the same experience, minus the one caveat I'll give is I played like 30 minutes of RE4 on my Switch, and I played RE1 remake, remaster, whatever on GameCube a little bit, but I didn't really keep playing because I didn't like how it was scary too. So I really am just modern, but I did want to throw out those little caveats of a light history that I had.
So the Resident Evils that I've played have been Resident Evil 2 Remake, Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil Village, Resident Evil 3 Remake, and then Resident Evil 4 Remake. Resident Evil 2 Remake is still my number one. I think Mr. X is such like a good force in that game, and like turn that into something else, like something so special. And I think because that game was a bit more concise in time, like that game took me 8 hours to beat, 8-9 hours. And then like, of course, you have the different playthroughs you can do. And then RE4 took me over 20 hours. It took me 18 and a half hours to beat. And there's a lot more content for you to explore if you're doing all the side quests and everything in there. Brittany Brombacher, who was on the review as well, put in over 30 hours. And I've seen a lot more people talk about, you know, their variance in terms of hours. But like, it's a lot more jam-packed game in terms of content, but I like how concise RE2 is compared to RE4, and then also RE2 feels a bit more honed in terms of the moment-to-moment survival horror aspect of, you know, the first time you encounter a licker, again, like Mr. X being there. I like the setting of the police station. Like I like so much of the atmosphere of RE2 as horror atmosphere, whereas RE4 feels like it's half survival horror, but then half actiony type game with like a lot of wacky, almost anime inspired cutscenes where like Leon's doing flips and like there are fight scenes that remind me a bit of Metal Gear in a way. I think I prefer RE2 a bit more. And then like the story of RE4 is good, but it didn't strike me as like I'm gonna remember these characters forever type thing. And so RE2 I have is probably my number 1, and then RE4 I would say is probably right behind there at number 2.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I would say 7 Village RE3 remake.
Where would you put
That
medium?
sounds right.
Where would you put
Medium?
the medium?
I
in this
sadly have
subject?
not played the
Ah,
medium.
you hate
Yeah.
to see
Remember
it.
the medium? Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
sadly I've not played the medium,
Sure,
but
fair enough. I
yeah, I'm
appreciate it.
excited for people who are. I'm
The
excited for
medium.
everybody to play RE4 remake. I think this is a game where if you like these types of games, then for sure play RE4 remake. But I'm excited for fans because I think fans are gonna be like, "Yo, this is fucking incredible." I think it's gonna be a thing that hits them way harder in the way that I play Shadow Colossus remake and I'm like fucking fanboying.
Yeah.
I think this is a very good example of how to remake a game to hit in a modern day. So. Yeah, really enjoyed Resident Evil 4. Kind of funny 4 out of 5 on our scale. I'm sure Tim's gonna play it and give it a 5 out of 5. Like it's
Sure.
one of those ones.
Clown. You know, can't trust his
Exactly.
review. You know what I mean? Yeah. Did Brittany give it a 5 out of 5?
She didn't give it a score on
Okay.
our thing. I got the vibes that I feel like she would have given it a 5 out of 5.
Sure.
You know, I did not ask her, but she was very glowing on it. She really enjoyed it. No, she said it was her favorite. I think she said it was one of her favorite Resident Evils.
Okay. Then sure.
And so yeah. Janet, what'd you pick to play on PlayStation?
I'm back before they had a chance to miss me. I played the Dark Pictures Switchback VR.
Yay!
This came out last week on like Wednesday or Thursday or something. I think it was in our drop discussions like last week.
Yeah.
And I streamed it also. I figured out how to stream while hearing chat. It was a whole thing. Also learning how to fight VR forehead during all this too. Bandana does work, but you have the bandana lines then. So I think the
Gotcha.
headband is going to be the VR forehead killer, but I got to buy a headband because I don't own one, like a sweatband. Anyway, none of that is the game. So the Dark Pictures Switchback VR is Supermassive's VR game. People have asked, is it a sequel to, what's the name of the one they had on PSVR 1?
Until Dawn, Rush of Blood.
Yeah, it is not a sequel to Rush of Blood. You can argue it's a spiritual successor in the sense that it's the same general setup. So it is a haunted roller coaster that you're on, and it has nods to the Dark Pictures games in characters and settings, but I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, well, obviously they say it's part of Dark Pictures because it's called the Dark Pictures Switchback VR, but it feels like more of a like an accompaniment piece, like an accompanying game, spin-off game to Dark Pictures. The level of decisions are really mostly just like what pathway do you take, and sometimes your actions. So they do give you some stats at the end of parts of the ride. It's not separated super clearly. Like you get a score like during it. Let me also zoom out to explain what the moment-to-moment gameplay is. So you're recommended to sit because your character is sitting in this like roller coaster. There's stuff happening too. Like you're on this train, and then it's like, oh, my father loved this coaster or something.
It's
I don't
always
know.
your father.
Honestly, it's a little blurry for me because since I streamed it and I had to read the subtitles, and subtitles in VR are kind of awkward because they're
Sure.
like superimposed and they're like at the bottom of the screen. So they were kind of like, I'm not the best in totally recollecting the story from my hour and a half that I played of it. So sorry if I'm butchering it. But then you're on this haunted roller coaster. And essentially the gameplay feels a lot like House of the Dead. You have dual wielding guns. You have a gun in each hand for the most part. And you're going through like this haunted passageway, and you're shooting enemies, but you're also shooting like whatever's around, like little trinkets, a coffee cup. They have stuff marked that's glowing that'll like act as a multiplier for your score.
Like
So
buffs. They did that in Until Dawn too.
yeah, and they also have like kind of like Super Mario Sunshine, a way to switch out the type of gun by shooting a box, which is a weird comparison to make, but if you know, you know. So it's like, oh, now my gun's like an automatic instead of just like a little pistol. Overall, it is exactly what they sell it as, haunted arcade style shmup, basically. Where my biggest criticisms of this game are the fact that visually it leaves something to be desired. This definitely is not a Horizon Call of the Mountain. It doesn't look super impressive. Like I would not sit someone down and be like, look at the fidelity PSVR 2 could provide, because it don't look that hot. And my other criticism is there are sections that are kind of Bosk-esque, and those are just they're kind of bullet spongy, and I find that kind of boring. I think my favorite moments in this are when they are actually like moving the track up and down, which they don't do a lot, probably so you don't throw up. But literally, like you have a little drop and you put your hands up, and that's kind of fun. You feel it a little bit, so I like that. And generally, the gunplay in the setting is fun. Like if you're a Dark Pictures fan, like you know, Light Spoilers, you go through like the town of Little Hope, and then you're in the burning house. Like it has like fun fan nods like that. Chad Ass is a curator in it. Of course he's there, my boy the curator.
Oh, I gotta play it.
I fucking
gotta
stand
play
the curator.
If he's
Hell
in it,
yeah.
I'm in it.
Yeah, exactly. No, same. Because like this is all in. So
Does his music play?
is it what?
Does his music play? Like, does he walk in and he has his
Oh.
background music?
Honestly, I don't fully remember. We haven't gone one-on-one yet. He just kind of like he stood around and been all like, "Ooh, I'm the curator." You know how he is. Classic curator. Anyway,
Classic curator.
big fan. But so that's the experience. I mean, I think if you have, I streamed it, so chat was talking to me about it, and they were saying, "Oh, it's kind of like it's a lot for what it is with the price point," and I think it's like $40 or something. One of y'all can look that up because I don't remember. Obviously, you can debate that. I'm not telling you how to spend your money. I think the game's all right. It's solid. I will say though. Obviously, if you're someone that has PSVR 2, you probably are just like, fuck it, I'm in, I'm here, and I'm trying to rock with some games. I think if you generally see the premise of this, it's an enjoyable experience, but I don't think it's like a must play on PSVR 2 necessarily, but that's been my experience so far. It is a bit longer than I expected too. I think the general playtime is couched as like 6 to 8 hours or something.
Wow, okay.
Which seems like a lot to me for what it is. Like, I kind of would have liked it to maybe just be shorter just because it's a lot of time to be in VR. Again, might be lightly butchering that hours, but I do remember it being longer than like, it's definitely longer than like 2. Because I was like, oh, maybe we can beat it. And then people were like, oh no, it's like 4 to 8 or something. It's like, it's kind of up there. And there is replayability in the sense that there's different decisions and pathways you can take. But, it is basically just like a funky, fun House of Dead Coaster vibe in the Dark Pictures setting. So there you go.
Yeah, for me, this was on PlayStation. Obviously, Tchia was the main thrust of it, and right before Tchia did, I downloaded both Switchback and Walking Dead: Saints and Sinners Chapter 2. Jumped into Chapter 2 of Walking Dead: Saints and Sinners. It lives up to that preview I had, where I was like, "Oh shit, this looks like it's actually kind of cool," and it was cool, to walk around and stab the walkers in the head and do the thing. But it's back to Switchback looks like, as you say, Janet, it is what it looks like, and to me, it's back to what my whole comparison of this being a Dave & Buster's, where it was like I enjoyed Until Dawn Rush of Blood for what it was, but that was like 1, maybe 2 sessions where I was like, cool, and put it down and never really did it again. It was one of those many showpieces. We did a Let's Play here, KindaFunny, where I put my mom in it and let her get, she rode around shooting stuff. So I didn't even get to it on Friday because I played more Walking Dead before I jumped to Tchia, before I jumped back to wrestling. And yeah, Walking Dead was similar of like, cool, it is this, but as I described it, I think to you earlier, but to you and Tim, when we were talking about it, right? It's just like, I just don't want to sit there for however many hours doing my back and the side, looking over, grab this thing, do that thing, grab that thing. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that that's a desire for a lot of people, I think, in video games. And so it's like, cool, this is a giant open world or I should say open world, giant RPG they want you to go play or whatever. But it is like, I don't know, do I really want to walk around and do this? I probably prefer to do it in third person. So it's quality from what I played of it, but I'm not like anxious to get back to it. And then what I really played all week was wrestling. So still obsessed with WWE 2K23. Sending blessing the Steve Austin code for 316 when I saw that. Sign on to my faction.
Redeem that.
I still sign on to my faction every day to get my daily rewards. Even if I don't have time for the match and stuff. Like, I'm still very obsessed with WWE 2K23.
Oh yeah, I want to play it more consistently. Like it's been that weird thing where the more I play it, the more I'm like, okay, yeah, this is more 2K22.
Yeah.
And so like I'm not getting the freshness of it, but
see, it's for me, it's like playing it. Yeah, there's that feel to it, but then it's the dialing in of the little things they've changed.
Yeah.
How do this, and like my TikTok algorithm has learned that I like it, so I'm getting so many clips of cool shit people are doing. I'm like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. Oh, I should do that. Oh, that was a really great RKO out of nowhere. Blah blah blah. Like,
I kind of want to try my Rise is the one where you create a character.
Yeah. I still got to finish Roger's story.
Yeah.
The lock.
I did a stream where I started playing my Rise, and like for the first whole hour of the stream, it was just me creating my character.
Yeah.
And I finished it. And I'm like, all right, I think the stream's done here. Like I'm like, I've played for an hour, and like I don't know how much more I have in me right now.
100%.
But yeah, no, I'm like I love starting my Rise and it already giving you the gimmick of like the lock thing.
Yeah.
Because I assumed that was like the Roger like.
Yep, that's
gimmick.
what Roger's doing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh shit, all right, cool. Like I get to be the lock for a second and figure out what this thing is. But yeah.
We do have an update to the breaking news, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh shit.
Tony Todd has tweeted No more hints about Spider-Man 2. It was all a fever dream. Blame it on jet lag. Who knows? I might not even be Venom. God bless you,
Oh
Tony
man, what is
Todd.
this
That's
picture?
so funny.
It's him in a hot tub. It looks like maybe, you know what I mean? It looks like he's got some kind of weird, like, you know, those lenses on that totally make your eyes completely
I think
black.
it's a pool in his presumably house.
But look at his eyes, you know?
There's some Venom eyes. You
Yeah,
know?
That's the
Venom
eyes of
eye.
someone who
Venom
just
is
broke an
the
NDA by
Venom.
accident.
This
He hasn't
bio.
deleted those tweets yet, but again, I'm sure you'll know more on Friday. We
Yeah,
won't.
Jim Ryan's is at his door, like, open up, open up.
Ted Price, like, what the fuck is going on, Venom? Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of PS I Love You XOXO. Remember, we're your PlayStation podcast that posts every Friday. Of course, you can watch us record the show live on patreon.com/kindafunny. Over on patreon.com/kindafunny, you can watch us record all the other shows ad-free. You can get each and every show ad-free on demand. You can get dozens and dozens of bonus exclusive episodes of content only on patreon.com/kindafunny. However, if you have no bucks tossed away, no big deal. You, of course, can get the show with ads, not early. YouTube.com/kindafunnygames, podcast services around the globe. If you want to support us in an easy way that's free, use the Epic Creator Code KindaFunny when you're checking out of the Epic Game Store or when you're playing Fortnite or whatever on your PlayStation. You can pop in an Epic Creator Code like KindaFunny. Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.